hear what he had to say about these leaked plans in a Signal app. Check it out.
And that is the plane of Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, who, from what we understand, just landed there in Hawaii on this multi-stop tour to Asia. They're stopping first in Hawaii. Hegseth will then go to Guam, and then he will go, I believe, to the Philippines and Japan. According to the deputy press secretary there at the Pentagon, her name Kingsley Wilson. So what we're all waiting for right now is whether or not Hegseth, there he is live, whether or not he will comment on the story in the Atlantic. Remember, he was leading the group message there in that Signal thread. Let's listen here.
Listen, if you don't want to sign the documentation, go home. If you don't want to sign, then go home. Y'all can miss me with that. Well, if you ain't got nothing to have, no, we not doing that. Them days is over. That's the same thing that women used to hit guys with when they used to make sure that they didn't sign a prenup. Well, if you don't plan on breaking up with me, then it ain't no reason for me to have to sign nothing. No, that's not how it works, baby. Listen, this is a preventative maintenance, and this protects you as well as protecting me. This helps me to understand exactly what you're doing, and you to understand exactly how important this is in the business that happens around me. And more importantly, I don't want people that's around me being talked about or being a conversation piece on the internet. You never gonna get me with that. Well, if I ain't planning up, no. That's not how it works. Standard procedure. It's not you, it's me. And the people that's at the door made sure that you did it. That's just a standard procedure. Anton did not do this. Anton is not asking for this. This is just something that the people around him is using in order to make sure that he's protected. Well, if you ain't doing nothing, that ain't why. Listen, either you're doing it or you're not. I'm not about to sit here and have no conversation with you.
I'll tell you something, this is a trip we've had circled on the calendar from the beginning. Indo-Pacific, shifting priorities to make sure we're deterring threats to the future. President Trump's been focused on that. Reestablishing the warrior ethos, rebuilding our military, and ultimately reestablishing deterrence is critically important. And so we're out here to talk to our commanders and, more importantly, meet with the troops all across the Indo-Pacific, and then our allies and partners, too, are going to be a critical part of ensuring the future in this region is free. And so we're glad to be here. It's a beautiful day. Had a full work day on the plane. Now we've got a full work day here as well, and looking forward to it. One question.
Can you share how your information about war plans against the Houthis in Yemen was shared with a journalist in the Atlantic? And were those details classified?
You're talking about a deceitful and highly discredited so-called journalist who's made a profession of peddling hoaxes time and time again, to include the hoaxes of Russia, or the fine people on both sides hoax, or suckers and losers hoax. So this is the guy that peddles in garbage. This is what he does. I would love to comment on the Houthi campaign because of the skill and courage of our troops. I've monitored it very closely from the beginning. And you see, we've been managing 4 years of deferred maintenance under the Trump administration. Our troops.
All right. Now, one thing that I promised you guys a couple weeks ago is that I was going to be honest, I was going to be real, and I was going to be transparent. Okay? I was going to be honest and I was going to be real. You know that I lean conservative with my views and my opinion, but I'm going to call a spade, and I'm going to have a conversation straight down the middle. What I personally see here is I see a sidestepping of the question. I see a little bit of word salad in there. I'm not really sure if this journalist, because I don't know who the journalist is that they're talking about. I can't say about their character or what they peddle or anything like that. But I'm going to just be honest with you. I see a little bit of Pete might be the culprit. Respectfully. I mean, come on. Listen. I have to just be honest, and I got to call a spade a spade. My views personally in life is conservative. My perspective on whether or not the Trump administration is doing a great job in his first 100 days in office is spectacular. But I have to be real, and I have to just be absolutely transparent, regardless of if I'm a conservative, regardless if I actually rock out with Trump and all of that. I promised y'all that I was going to be real. And the reality is that it seemed like a little bit of word salad in there. Respectfully, Pete. Now, this is my first time seeing this, and it doesn't mean that he's not great at his job, but Pete may be the one that mistakenly leaked the information about war plans. I'm just saying. Listen, we could be conservative and we could just call it down the middle, objectively. If I'm looking at this and I'm watching this conversation and I'm like, I wonder who the person is that may have mistakenly sent the war plans, or maybe they was a little too distracted, or maybe they was getting some box on a plane. Who knows? Pete is going to be the first person that I call into my office. Hey, Pete. Hey, they say some war plans got leaked on the Signal app. Let me see your phone. You got Signal on there? It's a little bit of sidestepping the question. That's my initial observation. I'm going to hear the rest of what he has to say because, again, I'm looking at this in real time, and then I'm going to try to figure out whether or not it's Pete or not. And I'm going to give y'all my honest-to-God opinion, regardless of what side of the aisle I stand on.
Our sailors were getting shot at as targets. Our ships couldn't sail through.
I said, is Mike Waltz? All right, I'm going to check that out. I'm just saying, from what he's saying, it seems, and maybe he covering for somebody else, I have no idea. But it just seemed a little crazy the way that he talking. He just kind of sidestepped that he didn't answer the question. All right?
And when they did shoot back, it was purely defensively or at...
Somebody send me the article. Anton Daniels 413 at gmail.com. Forward it to me in my email. And send me the report that Fox News said that it was Mike Waltz.
In Yemen, President Trump said, no more.
Tim Walz.
We will reestablish deterrence. We will open...
But why would Tim Walz be on a text thread for war plans? That don't even make sense. I said it was Mike Waltz. All right, I'm going to check it out.
Freedom of navigation, and we will ultimately decimate the Houthis, which is exactly what we're doing as we speak from the beginning, overwhelmingly.
Mike Waltz added
details shared on Signal, and how did you learn that a journalist was privy to the targets, the types of weapons used?
I've heard I was characterized. Nobody was texting war plans, and that's all.
Pete, I apologize. Clearly, you're not the one that leaked it. I want to go into this. Okay, so who is Mike Waltz, the National Security Advisor, who added the journalist to the Signal group chat? All right, so it was him. So Pete was just protecting this guy. All right, so Pete, you even better now because you was holding it down for a real one and you didn't want to throw your homie under the bus. This is what I'm looking at, all right? So it's saying that journalists or National Security Advisor who added the journalist was Mike Waltz. President Donald Trump has said he's confident that his National Security Advisor, Mike Waltz, a day after a report detailed how he inadvertently added a journalist to the Signal group chat discussing Yemen war plans. Trump told NBC News on Tuesday that Waltz has learned a lesson and is a good man. That's him? All right, you made one mistake. Let's not make another one, okay? I see my dog Pete Hegseth in the back. Pete is looking like, see, man, y'all got me out here looking crazy. All right, so I got to apologize, and I got to give Pete some grace. I have to give Pete some grace. Says the president brushed off concerns about the group chat on the messaging app, which reportedly included operational details about war plans in Yemen, and mistakenly included the Atlantic director, editor-in-chief, Jeff Goldberg, according to a report by Goldberg, a report from Goldberg published Monday. Trump told NBC News that Goldberg's presence in the chat had no impact at all and called the whole ordeal only a glitch his administration has faced since Inauguration Day. Goldberg has received a signal invitation from Waltz, who was a member of the group chat. Goldberg said that the group chat also appeared to include Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, Vice President J.D. Vance, and Secretary of State Marco Rubio, amongst others. Imagine getting invited into a group chat with those people. White House National Security Council spokesman Brian Hughes told ABC News on Monday that the group chat appears to be authentic. Trump tapped Walz, a former Florida congressman, to be his national security advisor in November, calling him a nationally recognized leader in national security and an expert on threats posed by China, Russia, and Iran, and global terrorism. Waltz is a China hawk and was the first Green Beret elected to Congress. During the presidential campaign, Waltz proved to be a key surrogate for Trump, criticizing the Biden-Harris foreign policy record. Elected to the House in 2018, he sat on the Intelligence and Armed Services and Foreign Affairs Committee. He also serves on the House China Task Force with 13 other Republicans before running for elected office. Waltz served in various national security policy roles in the George W. Bush administration in the Pentagon and the White House. He retired as a colonel after serving 27 years in the Army and the National Guard. Okay, so he's not a bad dude. Don't let it happen again. Don't let it happen again, because you got my dog Pete out here looking crazy. You know what I'm saying?
I have to say about that.
Right,
Thank you.
That's it.
The NSC said it was authentic.
And there you have it. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth just landed there. Joined.
All right, so that was Pete Hegseth. He remained loyal. He said, we're going to hold it down. Again, I think that it was incompetence, maybe whatever. I don't know. I don't know how Trump determined whether or not the dude did what he was supposed to do or not. But just don't let it happen again. Okay, Mike?